If you're a business owner or if you're a parent and you use any kind of technology, you need to hear my conversation with my new friend, Ben Halpert, about this idea of protecting ourselves, cybersecurity, some advice that he gives for your kids, specifically a nonprofit that he runs, some excellent resources he provides. He's got a lot of great books that Hannah and I've read that are fantastic, but also from a business side. If you're an individual or a business owner, his team can really help you out. So here's my new friend, Ben. Welcome to Market Mavericks. I'm Matthew Eford. Join me as I speak with leaders who are redefining industries in every corner of the market. From startups to established businesses, we'll uncover the strategies, challenges, and insights that drive success. Get ready to be inspired by the Mavericks who are shaping the future of business. Welcome, everyone, to Market Mavericks. I have my new friend here with me, Ben Halpert. He and I met at a University of Georgia event and looking at investing in businesses and helping support the UGA Alumni Association. And Ben, I'm so excited to have you on board and talk about things cybersecurity. It's not something that people want to think a lot about, but it's something they need to think about. And so I appreciate you coming on with us. Ben, for those who don't know you, if you'll share a little bit about yourself and the businesses that you run.
Sure. So thanks for having me. And it was great to meet you at the UGA Entrepreneurship Angel event in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So go dogs. I just got to get that.
Go dogs. That's right.
Yeah. So I've been in the cybersecurity industry for about 25 years and been very fortunate with the organizations that I've been with over the years and the access to networks and access to trainings that I've been afforded. And over the years, I have, realized that I could do more. And so while I was working to help secure corporations and employees at corporations, I actually started creating educational materials to start teaching kids and help parents teach their kids starting at 3 years old about strangers online, about privacy, about being safe online, about technology balance, about all these topics that we have to deal with these days. And so now I run two organizations. I run a for-profit business that I founded and a nonprofit business that I founded. So the for-profit business is a cybersecurity consulting firm called CISO Horizon, Chief Information Security Officer Horizon. And the nonprofit that I founded and run is called Savvy Cyber Kids.
Wow. Okay. So you've got your hands in both, which is fantastic. So let's talk about the first one, if you don't mind. Let's talk about your for-profit entity. Talk to us about the first 12 to 24 months. I love to get kind of that perspective, specifically for those who are looking to get into business. Tell us the good, the bad, the ugly. What do you remember from those early days?
So, I can say that the biggest hesitation that I had in, founding the organization, going out on my own after being a W-2 employee, doing this work for companies for 25-ish years, was the steadiness of a paycheck. And so I kind of bit the bullet and, had lots of conversations with folks in my networks. And all the business so far has been brought in through referrals, right? So people that I know, when they're having, discussions with other people, they're starting a business or they have a business, but they're concerned about cybersecurity. They do something, but they're not sure if they're doing enough. So, that's when, I get referred and I come in and do a quick assessment to see what's the current state is of an organization. We, also help out individuals as well. So we can help there, but we're really focusing on businesses and getting them to a place where they're more resilient when it comes to the cyber attacks that every business and every individual is up against these days. And so from the founding of the business, it's basically referrals from the network that I worked through the years. And I started it out as an advisory business.
Okay.
Just to give advice to companies and let them help out. And so I had one of my early clients, say to me, "This is great. Thanks for doing this. So we want you to build the entire cybersecurity and privacy program." And that includes all the software services, 24/7 support. And so also turn the company into an MSSP, a managed security service provider, along the way as well.
Wow. Okay. That's fantastic. And it's a cool path that you got there. That's really quite interesting. So let's get into the cybersecurity piece before we get into the nonprofit. small business owner who's out there who says, I've got Google, I use Google platform, I use Microsoft Word. Why should I hire somebody to help with my cybersecurity? It's just me. I'm a solopreneur, or I've got a small business. I've got 3 employees. Like, why do they need cybersecurity?
So the unfortunate truth is that big technology companies just want to onboard as many people as possible and start taking your money as fast as possible. And in order for them to do that, they have to skip steps that would make organizations and individual solopreneurs more secure along the way. And so, we come in and we give you the steps. We tell you what to do. We provide the services and the software and the monitoring to that. And so, the way the world works today, especially with AI now, like these targeted threats to individuals, to companies, are getting so much more convincing that when you have an employee, maybe it's your third employee, maybe it's you because you're working late and you're tired and you click a link and you shouldn't have clicked on it. And if it was 3 p.m. instead of 3 a.m., you wouldn't have clicked on it, but you did. What do you have in place that prevents your machine from being ransomware, completely locked out, and potentially all the data stolen?
Wow. Yeah, it's so. Give us a terrifying story, right? That may be something that helps push somebody over the edge of, hey, I really need to call Ben and I really need to get this figured out. Tell us a terrifying story around the idea of getting hacked. It can be around AI. It could be around just a phishing scam. Give us a story.
Yeah. So, there's two things to think about, right? There's like you use your devices every single day in your personal life and in your family life. And you do everything on those devices, right? You manage your entire family, you manage all of your finances. And, you know, I know so many people who, before I started chatting with them, they had their bank accounts compromised, they had wire transfers redirected because of lapses in security in their email clients. And, it's just every little thing that you don't think about, but things that you do every day is where those threat actors, those bad actors,
Yeah.
are looking to enter your life. So things you wouldn't even think about. And the attacks are in the attackers are so good now, right? So they'll redirect you to a page that looks like your bank and functions like your bank. And you do your two-factor authentication like you would for your bank. And then they just got your two-factor authentication. And they're in on the back end at the same time that you're logging in, and you log off, they're still in. So, there's just a lot that happens. And that's just like one little example on the personal side. But if you're also running your business accounts, same thing.
Yeah. Wow. It is scary, and it's something that is so. Talk to us about AI, right? That's a hot button issue. We've had several AI experts come on in different arenas, from business management to marketing. But how is that impacting the cybersecurity piece as AI continues to improve? What does that mean for a small business owner?
So I'd say, on the positive side, AI can help a lot with repetitive tasks and things that are Gen AI friendly, right? But if you take a different lens on the same thing, maybe you need help with some code development, right? So you're using some of the solutions out there to help you with that. Well, an attacker's doing the same thing. So they wrote their malicious code. And by the way, they're on the dark web using a different AI that is not ethical at all, that is crafting these malicious emails, that is crafting this code to steal your information, to lock it down, and to hold you
Wow.
for. So, every technology, there's a good side and then the bad side. And so working with organizations to help defend them from the bad side, is where we focus.
Wow. That's really cool. So when you come in and consult with somebody, what is one thing that you find most often? What's something that you find most often for a potential security breach with a small business?
So pretty much like 99% of the time, if it's the first time that this individual at a company is talking to someone about cybersecurity, 99% of the time, they're reusing their passwords all over the place.
Okay. I've
It's
done
really,
that. Yeah, I'm putting my hand up for those who are just listening. I've definitely done that in the past.
and it's like a normal human reaction to how the internet evolved over time, right? Like you got your first email account however long ago. No one told you how to create a secure password. The companies weren't enforcing it then. Some companies don't even enforce a secure password now, right? Like they let you put in 1 2 3 4 5 6, which is still, by the way, the most widely used password on the entire internet.
Wow.
So when we have companies that get data breaches, which we read about all the time, right? Every day it's a new company, it's 10 new companies that are being breached and data stolen. The number one way threat actors are getting in is by reusing the passwords that were used in a breach, that were discovered in a breach, but that you
Wow.
use on 15, 20, 150 accounts, because no one ever told you shouldn't really do that. And when people told you shouldn't do that, you're like, won't happen to me.
And then it does.
Yeah.
And then it does. So what piece of advice would you give? I mean, obviously change your passwords, keep them unique. But what does somebody look for in terms of a data breach? What is something that they can be using to find out if their information may be on the dark web, or what do people look for in that arena?
Yeah, so there's a website out there called Have I Been Pwned? And you can actually, what they do is they aggregate all the databases from breaches. And again, this is all public knowledge, right? So if you put your email address, and we all have multiple email addresses, so you can put them in for each one, you can put your phone number in, it will list all of the companies where your information has been breached. And it will tell you what data was part of that breach. It'll say
Wow.
your birthday, your address, your IP address of your router. It will have your social security number for some of these companies. If you gave that as part of the onboarding, it has everything, your phone number. And, some of them have like your salary and if you have children and their names and their ages.
Wow.
So it literally tells you what information was part of that breach. And so then your job is to go change those passwords first.
Okay.
And by the way, if you're not using a secure password manager, you absolutely should. So that's part of the suite of services that we offer, is kind of getting everyone to a more secure hygiene state. And so we help with the businesses on that.
I love that. So you said you can help an individual. Is that they're a solopreneur, or is it just, hey, I'm a business professional, I'm a VP somewhere, and I'm needing assistance for just me personally? Does that so you don't just work with businesses, you also work with individuals?
Yeah, so we do, and we do that with a partner that we have called the Cyber Health Company. And
Okay.
so their pure focus is on individuals. And if you think about how individuals are targeted, right? So a large corporation does a good job of securing internal email, right? For like a CEO and the VPs and the leadership team. But what about the CEO's spouse? And what about the kids that are on their home Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
We partnered with a company called the Cyber Health Company, and they do all of that. So it's like the personalized is handled there, and we provide that service through the Cyber Health Company. And then for the business side, that's what we focus on at the CISO Horizon, and we lock down the businesses just like company would be locked down. That's a Fortune 500.
I love that. So one of the things that we love to hear around here is mistakes from founders, from business owners. It makes us all human, right? I've made plenty. I've made enough for both of us. But what's a mistake that you've made over the life of your business, and specifically what's something you learned from it?
So I would say that probably the biggest mistake is that I don't ask enough questions sometimes.
Okay.
And for me, it's taking a step back and listening more, right? And I think it's human nature that we just want to help, right?
Yeah.
And so if we're used to helping in a certain way, we want to help in that way. However, everybody's actually different in their needs. So we need to kind of take a step back and do a better job at listening more and then providing that custom service. And so that's one of the big learnings. And so if someone's just starting out in a business, I would say don't try to sell what you think you should be selling. Ask your potential customers what they need. What are they trying to do? It doesn't matter what industry you're in, right? What is it you're actually trying to do? And
I love
then
that.
focus on.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I appreciate that a lot. So talk to us about the nonprofit side. You gave a little bit of an intro of how that came about, but tell us more. When did you start that? How long into business were you, and what was really the emphasis of why you started and specifically into helping kids around cybersecurity?
Yeah, so when I started my career, I was with Lockheed Martin Corporation. And one day at lunch, this was in 2002, one day at lunch, I just started thinking about everything I'm exposed to securing Lockheed Martin Corporation data, uh, agency data that we were working with, and the individual lives of our employees wherever they work. If they work in a corporate office, if they're deployed, providing support services at a base overseas, wherever the individual is, how do we protect them from cyber attacks? So as I was thinking about that, I was thinking that no one in my personal network knew anything about cybersecurity. Most people in my network weren't even involved in technology.
Yeah.
And so I finished my lunch that day, and I opened up PowerPoint and I put together a presentation about the threats that kids are up against when parents put them behind the screen, and what parents can do to make sure that their kids are successful and have great experiences every time they go online. And I started calling up local schools in the Atlanta area and said, "Hey, can I come in and talk to your parent groups? Can I talk to your PTA, your PTO?" And so I started doing that in 2002.
Wow.
And when I was doing it, I was talking about MySpace, AOL chat rooms, and Yahoo chat rooms. And iPhones didn't exist. Android phones didn't exist. Like, this was not a thing. And when we were talking about computers in the home, it was one large CRT monitor and a tower. And most families had one. It was in the kitchen or the family room where everybody shared it. You can think
Yeah.
back to the days. And so everything has just exponentially gotten worse, meaning those threats against our kids exponentially worse as they carry that computer in their pocket 24/7 if parents don't intervene. And so it's super important, and it's gotten more important every single year, that as parents and school communities, we actually teach our kids how to make smart decisions with tech. And I was actually in a PhD program at the time, that I came up with this idea of, I was thinking about, it's been a few years, I've been going to the school since 2002, and I was thinking about how do you actually train a human so that something becomes ingrained in second nature and they don't have to think about it as they get old. And so all that research, when I should have been working on the dissertation, I'm focusing on that. But it turns out if you teach a human something before they're 5 years old, when their brain is less than 5 years old, that concept becomes ingrained. So if you think about that, we teach our kids to say please and thank you before they can talk. We teach our kids to look left and right at a crosswalk the first time we take them there to cross, right? So as an adult, you don't remember to say, do I have to say please now? Do I have
Yeah.
to say thank you now? Or like, okay, I'm at a crosswalk. What do I do? You just do it, right? And so I wrote children's picture books based on that concept. So parents can start, there's one behind me, so that parents can start reading to their kids at 2 to 3 years old. And so kids know the right decisions to make once their parents put them behind a screen. And parents today are putting their kids on screens way too early. And it's
Yeah.
not their fault that they don't know any better, because big tech, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they're all pushing get your kids on tech as early as possible so they don't fall behind.
Yeah. Don't want to fall behind. That's definitely the motto that gets shared. You don't want to be left out. Don't want to fall behind. And it's hard, right? As a parent, you don't want your kid to be in ostracized in that way. So, what advice would you have to parents? Obviously, to tell us about the books. You sent me some. I've got them here on my desk, and I'm so thankful for them as a resource for my boys. How does someone get these? How do they get you or your nonprofit to their school? Somebody's hearing this and they say that our school needs this or my family needs this. How do they get connected to that?
Yeah, so Savvy Cyber Kids books for adults raising kids are available on Amazon. And our services that we offer, you can find out more at savvycyberkids.org. You can go to our sessions page, our programming page, learn more about it. We have lots of free downloads on savvycyberkids.org for parents. And there's any educators listening, for educators as well. And if there's homeschool families listening, we have free lesson plans and activity sheets for kids in elementary and middle school that you can also find under the educator section that you can download for free in savvycyberkids.org.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So those who are not watching, they can't see this, but tell us that you've got the New York Times behind you framed. What is that?
So I I was presenting a panel, I was moderating a panel at a conference called DreamHack in 2019. And so I got a random email from someone claiming to be a New York Times reporter and said, "Hey, we see you're hosting a panel on the threats that our kids face when they're in online gaming communities and platforms. And I would love, if I can come down and shadow you for the 2-day conference, attend the panel, and help educate and spread the word about what parents can do to make sure their kids remain safe." And I said, after I figured out like they were actually legit, I said, "Come on down, absolutely, would love to have you." So I spent 2 days with an amazing reporter, and she ended up publishing a front page article about the work that we do at Savvy Cyber Kids, where Savvy Cyber Kids was featured, and about the threats that kids are up against, and what parents can do to make sure they're successful. And for me, I figure it's probably the time of my life that I'm ever going to be mentioned in a front page New York
Yeah,
Times
it's so cool.
article. Put it by my head.
I've never been, so I think it's quite impressive. And again, I love the work that you're doing. I love the way you're serving the next generation because my generation is one that grew up with technology, that we started out without it, and then come high school, we were one of the early ones to get it. That's kind of my age group, and our parents didn't have a clue. They just didn't know, and
Yeah.
you saw so many issues come up with our generation and generations right past us that we know a little bit more now. But it's so good to have good resources of how to help teach and coach um, our kids and try to protect them. So to your main business, to your for-profit business,
Mhm.
what does your business structure look like there? Is it just you? Do you have a team? What does kind of your makeup look there?
Yeah, so I have a team, and we have folks that are coming out in their careers, and we put them through training on how they can support cybersecurity businesses, and all the way through individuals that have had storied careers in the cybersecurity industry. So we're able to serve, and one of our favorite areas to serve in is regulated industries. And so we have a lot of experience in financial services, in healthcare, uh, in manufacturing and infrastructure. So, we like to help as much as we can.
I love that. That's really cool. So, what advice would you have to a small business owner who's looking to grow their team, scale their team from the experiences you've had? What advice would you have?
So I would say building longevity into the business is key.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
I think there's a lot of people that say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to build this. Well, that's great. What happens if you get hit by a bus?
Yeah.
There goes your business. There goes what you're doing to serve your customers. So, making sure that you have business continuity plans in place for the business, and you're training folks in to understand and make sure that everyone feels welcome. And so making sure that you have a welcoming culture within your organization. And I think people really appreciate that. And I think that's why there's so many people that after they do a stint in corporate America, they're like, I think I'm going to start my own business,
Yeah.
because corporate America doesn't treat people well. Like they're literally after the bottom dollar, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Every quarter they have to report to Wall Street every single quarter that they did X percentage better than the quarter before. And if they don't, there's stock tanks.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's the entire game that they play when you're a public company. And so if they need to lay off 10% of their workforce, they'll do it. And we see it all the time, right? Like there's always a new announcement. This company, that company, 5%, 10%, 2%. They don't care about you as a human. So
That is, it's so hard, right? And it's so hard. And I'm so glad that you're making that effort, that you're putting in those procedures, you're documenting that, you're investing in your team, and you're helping them have, a connection to the company. Because especially as a small business owner, right? in any business, but really as a small business owner, they're the face of your company. They're the people that are interacting with your clients. It's not just you. When you get past that solopreneur stage, that's a hard stage to be at because you're then giving up the opportunity to interact with every single one of your customers and be the only interaction they have. Now other people in your team are starting to have interactions. So it's great when they're connected to the business and they feel at home there. So I love that you're doing that.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So I love to read, and I love to ask other business owners what they're reading, and I love to get their advice. So what's a book over either the life of your business or it could be just in the last 12 months that you have read that has really impacted you as a business leader?
The Upside of Stress.
Okay. And who is that by?
Uh,
Do you remember?
Last name is McGonigal.
Okay.
Can't remember the first name off the top of my head, but basically, it's really kind of fascinating that if you believe that the stress in your life is harmful to you, has a negative impact to you, whether it's health, mental health, physical health, it will absolutely have a negative impact on your mental health and your physical health. However, if you view stress as a positive, that it's something that helps motivate you and create goals against to get things done and make accomplishments, you will actually live longer and not mental health
I love
or
that.
mental or physical health implications of stress, which is like mind blowing to me.
Wow. That is fascinating. I will definitely be adding that to my list. I've told my wife Hannah for years I love stress, and I do. I
Mhm.
love to thrive on those environments, and I think that's my perspective. And I've never thought about it that way. It's helping me to say that, and it's helping me to have that perspective. So I love that perspective. Um, Ben, how have you leveraged mentorship? So we talk a lot about mastermind groups. We talk about like the Angel Network, like those kind of meetings, maybe church, small group. But how for you as a business leader, how have you leveraged the idea of mentorship to grow as a leader and grow your organization?
So I always ask for advice because I think if you're someone who's not asking for advice on how to do something, you're totally missing out. You're very myopic in what you're focused on and doing. But if you're not asking someone, hey, I'm doing this way, whatever this is, I'm doing it this way. How do you think I can be doing that better based on your experience, whether it's in the same industry or a different industry? And it's people love to share, people love to teach, but you need to ask them because our minds are always kind of constantly working. And if you ask someone something about a topic that maybe they addressed 10 years ago, they're not even going to think about it. But when you ask the question, it'll trigger it, pull it out of the file cabinet in the back of the room.
Yeah, I love that. That's an excellent piece of advice for us to be able to connect with people that are just have different experiences than us, that they can give a unique perspective, that unique perspective can be the thing that transforms your business. Just a single conversation can open a door or open a part of your mind that you say, hey, I never thought about it that way. And then that takes you down a rabbit hole that you're like, my business is completely different. I've had several people that have done that in my life that I can look back on and say, hey, I'm a better person. I'm a better dad. I'm a better father. I'm a better business leader. I'm a better husband. But specifically for my organization, it is better because I asked for advice. I asked questions. So learning as a
Yeah.
business owner to ask good questions is so important. One of the things that I love to ask as this podcast host is this idea around commitments. Goals are a little too disambiguous. It's just you can set them, you can not meet them. That's kind of okay. I love this idea of commitments. So, what is a commitment, Ben, that you have in your organization in 2025 that you're committed to doing?
Yeah, so I'm committed to serving our customers in the best way possible and making sure they're each treated the way they need to be treated in their own specific instance. And that means we're treating all of our customers differently.
I love that. I love that. And then, final question, Ben. I love to get this. What piece of advice do you wish you would have had 10 years ago?
Say yes more often than you say no.
Okay, tell me more. What do you mean by that?
I think there's a lot of times in life when people are like, "Hey, do you want to come with me and do this?" And me, maybe I said no too often, and I should have said yes to experience more things. Same thing with business. We're looking to do this other, this thing. You want to hear more about it? Well, maybe not right now. Just say yes. Just keep saying yes.
I love that. I love that so much. That's an excellent thing for us to end on. Ben, I really appreciate your time. You've been very generous with it. I appreciate your wisdom that you shared with us today. If somebody's interested, they're an individual, they're a business owner, they need help in cybersecurity, give us a pitch. How do they get in touch with your organization?
Yep. Just reach out to CISOhorizon.com, and my email address is there, or savvycyberkids.org. And my email address is there, as well as some contact forms.
That's fantastic. Well, Ben, thank you again for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Market Mavericks. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Market Mavericks. We hope you're walking away inspired and ready to take your own adventure to the next level. Don't forget to follow the show to keep up with our latest episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe, share it with others who could benefit. And hey, if you know a market maverick who has a story that needs to be heard, please drop their name in the comments. We would love to bring their insights to the show. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and leading with purpose.